So at this time, are you guys talking? Wow, this was a lot of fun. We should do this again. This should lead to something else. Any talk like that at this point?
No, no,
So that comes later, I
Um,
imagine. Months later or weeks later, or do you remember?
um, hmm,
I
that's a
guess
good question, actually.
the
That would have
first point
been,
they said let's do more than the enemy show. What was the first point where they said that?
well, that was actually a guy named Mark Geiger, who was our booking agent um, for Jane's 1.0, and um, and has been a friend, like a friend of the band, and worked with Perry with Lollapalooza off and on over the years or whatever. But anyway, he reached out to me with an email saying, um, "Hi, I want to talk to you about the when you get some time, I want to talk to you about the future of Jane's Addiction." And and that was when it first was presented to me, and it first became a possibility. Was, like, because I really wasn't thinking of it as there being a future.
Yeah.
I had done the thing, the enemy thing was nice and fine or whatever, and um, but
This never entered your mind before, or like you never thought, well, we're doing this enemy, it could lead to something else.
mm, well, I guess I would say that that I'm sure that it crossed my mind, you know,
Yeah.
but but you know, I yeah, I can't say that I would characterize how I felt about it by saying that I hoped that it would turn into something else, or, you know, there was the occasional thought about it, like what would it take? What would it be? What would it, you know, but then it didn't last long. Like it didn't go into, sort of conscious thought and sort of thinking about it for very long, because it was not really a reality at all until Geiger reached out.
Yeah.
And
And his
and that was the
suggestion,
first. What's that?
his Mark's suggestion was a tour, or let's just
Well, he
rehearse.
just wanted to get together. We wound up getting together for a cup of coffee, and we spent like a whole afternoon talking. And and he was sort of um, laying out a whole plan. Like he's one of those guys, like very sort of strategic, and he was saying, here's how we do it. Here's like the long arc of it, and this is how it'll go, and you know and and I left that meeting feeling like it was possible.
All right.
Um, Still thinking it was probably it was improbable, but that it was possible that it might be able to work enough for me to be involved.
All right.
Um, because we discussed sort of like, the sort of the bad decision making that had been happening for Jane's Addiction, um, the bad musical decisions, the bad aesthetic decisions, all that stuff. And we talked about sort of putting controls in place, and how could we sort of, shape it in a way that would allow the sort of original spirit of Jane's Addiction to grow again
All right.
in folks, and to really, you know, for me, I kept saying, like, is there a way that we can stop like the karaoke versions of Jane's Addiction and all that stuff going on? And that was all part of the conversation, like maybe we can get um, Perry to stop doing his electronic, um, you know,
Yeah.
versions of stuff, and like really, um, in a way, sort of have Jane's Addiction go dark for
Yeah.
a while, have people stop doing what they've been doing. Um, and actually, as an aside, did that without even being asked. Dave really had that feeling like, I want to focus on Jane's. I want to make this
Yeah.
cool again in a way, and he really did do that. If you look at how he's been, like he really stopped doing all the other stuff and focused in
Yeah.
on Jane's. And then once, it was all over, he's back to stuff again. But you know,
So that was
but
it was important to you to kind of have it like a dead period where there was no Janes being heard out there in any form. When you say
yeah, well,
like,
that was initially when I was saying this is what I would need. I would need new music. Um, I would need us writing. I would need, you know, I would need there to be some um, creative controls on whoever was making the decisions for Jane's Addiction recently. And and we were sort of he presented a bunch of ideas of how we could bring that about. We could involve some really other creative people. He even mentioned Trent in that meeting, but Trent was
yeah,
not a not approached at that point or whatever. Like at least to my knowledge, anyway.
right,
Um, and but he sort of dangled that as an idea, like get somebody with a strong vision to help that has good taste and sort of put these other people from Jane's history in place, that the sort of business people that we knew and that had good taste and just try to, you know, remind everybody of how well it can go
right,
when you make cool decisions instead of douchebag decisions. So, um, you know, and that was sort of how it was presented to me, and that was what made me see the sort of vision and the possibility, and and the thing that on later reflection that I thought gave it more hope was I thought, I folks want to make money, which is fine. I wanted to make money too. But the business interests wanted were aligned with what I would like for Jane's as an artist, which is not always the case, certainly.
yeah,
And so it's part of that gave me hope because I thought that'll be great leverage because if the business interests are talking bottom line to the guys and
yeah,
saying the bottom line is this, you make more money, you do this, and and that and I get that Jane's becomes cooler again, stripped down of all the stuff and all the production things and all that. Um, and so I thought, I think in a way that'll be really a helpful tool for sort of shaping this into something cool again, viable and alive. So I was mistaken, but it sounded good at the time.
yeah.